Hey everyone! Recently I had the opportunity to have a side-by-side comparison of the 2020 KLX230 Dual Sport and the 2020 KLX230R. I just happened to have them both in my garage today, as I own the Dual Sport and my neighbor owns the R. In this video, I'm going to be going over the differences and similarities of the two bikes. Other than the obvious differences of one having the street legal components, there are some big differences and some smaller differences. In this video, I hope to be able to show you those differences. In the description, I'll provide a list of the differences as well as the similarities, plus a couple links that describe the differences and similarities in more details. So let's jump in. Okay, just wanted to make a quick video on the differences between the 2020 Kawasaki KLX230 Dual Sport model and the R model. One bike is my bike, which is a Dual Sport, and the R here is my neighbor's. Now there's actually three different models. You have two Dual Sport models. You have one with the ABS and one without the ABS. This one here has the ABS. And then of course the third model is the R. Now I'm going to go over the differences, but before I do that, I just wanted to point out some modifications that have been done on the bikes. Both bikes, as you see, have the same graphics wrap. It does not come with that. On my neighbor's bike, the R, he has changed the grips out. He installed these brush guards that don't come with the bike and the breakaway levers. Other than that, oh, and also he has the really nice steel skid plate that was added to his. Other than that, his bike is completely stock. Now on my bike, other than, of course, you got the graphics wrap. I also have brush guards. I replaced the handlebars, and of course the grips are different. Also, I removed most of my street legal components just because I'm riding mine primarily off-road and I didn't want to break them. So I removed the back, this is, I forgot what these things are called, but it goes under the rear fender, has the brake light, the signals, and also took off the front signals. Also took off one of the mirrors. There's a second mirror that goes here. Other than that, also I have a skid plate as well. This is the actual Kawasaki factory skid plate. It is plastic. On mine, I also swapped out the Enduro tires and I put on just some regular off-road knobbies. Other than that, mine is also completely stock. So now going over the differences here. Now first off, the obvious differences is on the Dual Sport, you have the street legal components. You got the headlight, the brake light, and the signals, plus the mirrors, whereas on the R model, you do not have those. Also, another difference is on the street model, you have a different gauge cluster, of course. You got a speedometer, you got the gas, you even got a little clock there. It does not have an RPM gauge, in case you were wondering. Has the neutral, check engine, of course. This one has the ABS sensor light, has an odometer, and that's pretty much it. Of course, you have the high low beam, the signals, the horn. You got the kill switch and the starter there. And then of course the key goes here, but you don't have that on the R. On the R, it's pretty basic. You got an on and off switch, you got a low gas light, check engine light, you got the kill switch here, and the starter here. A couple other big differences that aren't necessarily noticeable is the wheelbase. The wheelbase on the Dual Sport is longer by 0.9 inches than it is on the R. It's a little shorter. Also, the Dual Sport is 2 inches lower and the R is 2 inches higher. Other differences is you have on the street, you have a metal gas tank with a lock. On the R, you have a plastic with just your standard cap there. One of the other big differences is the weight. The Dual Sport is 293.2 pounds, whereas the R is 253.6 pounds. So basically a 40-pound difference. Also on the Dual Sport, you have a larger front disc brake, and it looks a little different than it does on the R. You have the passenger foot pegs on the street version, whereas on the R, you do not. Again, when you buy the R, it comes with the knobby tires. When you buy the Dual Sport, it comes with the Dual Sport tires. Another difference is the shifter, the gear shifter. On the R, you have this one that kind of flexes in case you hit something while riding off-road. Whereas on the street, this does not flex. It's just one part, so you don't get that flex there. You can swap that out. They're interchangeable. They fit. So if you wanted to put that one on the Dual Sport, you can. That's one mod actually I'd like to do, because I personally have been riding mine off-road more than on the street. Let's see here. Another just small difference. On the seats are identical, except this one has this strap that goes across, whereas you don't have that on the R. And then there's a price difference. The ABS model is the most expensive. The Dual Sport is also a little more, and the R is the lowest priced one. Now I'm just going to kind of go over some other aesthetic differences that I've noticed on the bikes. So on the rear exhaust, you kind of got this plate here that kind of covers on the Dual Sport, whereas on the R, you don't have that. Also, this part is a little bit different. I don't know if you can see that. This is just a hole here, whereas the street, it's a little bit different. Other thing I noticed is the rear swing arm is a little different, and specifically the chain adjuster. So this is what it looks like on the R. It's a little bit different. And this is what it looks like on the Dual Sport. Another small difference is kind of how you got this on the, this holds the rear brake line. It's a little bit different. You got this, how it's kind of attached, whereas over here, that is how it is attached. Also, the Dual Sport has this plastic, this is for the rear brake, the brake fluid container, and on the R, you have this metal one. And here, some of the things, I'm gonna go over kind of some of the things that are identical. Number one, the engines are completely the same. You got the exact same engine. The wheel sizes are the same. You got the 21-inch on the front and the 18-inch on the rear. So hopefully that was helpful. Oh, one other thing that I noticed now, I don't know if my neighbor took it off, but on the street you have this chain guard. So I believe the R does not come with one, because you see here you got the mounts for it on this one, where there's no mounts for it on there. Same sprocket size, same chain size. Another thing I was kind of surprised is they have the same suspension, other than this one being a little bit, the R being a little bit higher, you got the same suspension, same front forks, and the same rear suspension on both bikes. So I hope this helps you if you're considering buying one of these. Now, obviously, other than one is street legal and street ready, one is not, I would say the biggest difference is going to be the weight. You know, this one is 40 pounds heavier than this bike, which is, it's a pretty big difference when you're on them. You can feel a big difference. Makes this one a little better for jumping and things like that. This guy, you really can't jump him. It's pretty heavy. Even on a small jump, you risk bottoming out pretty easily. Now on this one, you can't jump, you know, super high, but you can at least jump higher than on this one. Aesthetic things here. There's your front on there, your front brake. On this one, it has this plastic piece here. I guess, I don't know if that's just on the ABS models or not. A little bit different. So it looks under there. Now this one looks a little different, of course. This is where you would mount the thing that has the brake light and signals and all that. Just showing you there. Same kickstands, but this one has a little plastic thing on there, whereas his does not. Now I know with mine, if the kickstand is down and it's in gear, it will not let you start it, even if you're holding the clutch in. So I don't know why my thing is focused. There you go. So I'm assuming that's what that plastic thing is on mine versus his. On this version, on the street version, you have a key here. And let me just show you what it does. So you can take this off. If I can get it in there, there we go. And you can access your battery. And then in here, I'm not gonna pull it out because it's a real pain in the butt to get back in, but you can easily remove this. And inside here is a little toolkit that comes with the bike. I don't know if his has it or not. It kind of looks like it does. Yes, it looks like you do have the toolkit too, but you don't have a key here. So I guess you gotta use a bolt. You take the bolt out to be able to access it. Looks like he installed on his one of the drip things for your battery. I don't think that comes with it. And again, just kind of looking at the different aesthetics. Now I have not ridden his, but I did sit on it, and you do notice that it is shorter. I mean, you can feel that almost immediately when you're on here. You know, it just feels longer, and it is lower to the ground. Whereas on his, it definitely feels shorter, even though it's less than an inch. I mean, honestly, you can notice it, and you can definitely notice it that it sits higher off the ground. That's definitely noticeable. All right, well, I think that's going to wrap it up. Hopefully I covered all the major things here on these bikes, and just kind of going over the difference. One more small thing is got the reflector there on the sides, the front, whereas his does not. I don't know if he took that off. I'm assuming it did not have it because it is the off-road and you wouldn't need that. All right, well, I hope if you were looking to buy a 230, Kawasaki 230, KLX230, this has kind of helped you understand the main differences between the bikes and kind of help you with your decision. One other quick thing I forgot to mention was that the 230R is noticeably louder than the 230 Dual Sport, and what I mean by that is the sound coming out of the exhaust. The R just has more depth, and so just a little bit louder than the more quieter Dual Sport. I hope this video was helpful to those who are considering purchasing a KLX 230 and are not sure which model to choose. If I were to do it again, I would have to purchase the R model because I primarily use the bike off-road. At the time when I purchased it, it was the Dual Sport was the only model this place had. This was during the COVID thing where everyone was buying up all the bikes. And I just got a really good deal on it, so I went ahead and went with the Dual Sport. However, the 40 extra pounds does make a big difference off-road. And like I said, if I could do it again for myself, I would go with the R. So in conclusion, the obvious primary differences between the two is one is street legal and meant to be a dual purpose bike, meaning it can go on-road and off-road, whereas the other one, the R, is just meant to be off-road use only. So I guess the first decision is you need to ask yourself is, are you going to use it just off-road, or are you going to use it on both on-road and off-road? Please don't forget to look in the description section of YouTube. You will also see these differences listed out, as well as a couple links to some sites that go into more detail on the differences. All right, guys, thanks for watching.